Do you recall back in 2001, Leslie Prier?
Yes, that she was murdered, yeah.
Yes. From the crime scene, the DNA that was taken, we actually have a sample of your DNA, and it was compared to the crime scene DNA, and it matched.
This is Eugene Gligor, currently realizing that despite trying to run away from everything for the last 2 decades, underage drinking, drugs, unlicensed arms, even brutally killing his girlfriend's mother in 2001, he attempted to erase his past and create a good citizen image, but it was all for nothing.
I'm trying to give you an opportunity to be a little bit forthcoming.
21 years ago, Leslie Prier was found dead inside her home. The murder, until this day, remains unsolved.
For those 23 long years, detectives have tried every lead, every clue, and every witness they could to solve the murder of Leslie Prier.
None of the neighbors heard or saw anything that was out of the ordinary that day, and this was a pretty brutal crime scene with a lot of blood, and you would just expect for someone to have seen or heard something.
But no one did. This case was rotting on the shelf for 23 years until this bottle changed everything.
There's no tears coming out of your face.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just trying to say that this seems a little put on.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God, you're so full of it.
Leslie Ann Prier was a 48-year-old wife and mother, known as a kind, gentle woman who lived in Chevy Chase neighborhood outside Washington, D.C. She was the type of person who showed up for her job at 10 a.m. sharp every day without fail. So when Leslie didn't arrive for work on the morning of May 2nd, 2001, it immediately raised alarms for her boss. He tried calling her phone, getting nothing but an empty ring. And soon enough, he was on the line with Leslie's husband, Carl Prier. Within minutes, the 2 men were heading back to Carl and Leslie's home to check on her. Sadly, neither man could have ever expected what they were about to step into.
An employee, we just walked in the door, our husband and I, and there's blood in the foyer, and it looks like something possibly happened. The husband's looking around.
When was the last time?
The last time the husband saw her was 7:45 this morning.
Okay. Is there a lot of blood?
But it looks like there's possibly I guess struggle, a couple things knocked down.
Okay. Can I ask you guys to step out of the house?
Sure.
While Brett was explaining the situation, Carl panicked and began desperately searching the house, clinging to the fading hope that somehow, against all odds, Leslie was still okay.
I yelled Leslie. First thing I noticed was that usually there's that small corner stand. I noticed that was flipped over into the dining room. I think at that point in time, I believe Brett said was something like, "Oh my God," or "We got to call the police." And that's when we turned around and saw the blood on where the door opens up.
Okay. What about his front foyer? Wasn't there a rug there?
There was a rug there. There was a rug there, and the rug was over on the other side of the partition that was in there.
Was there anything else on the floor?
The only
other than what you saw, the blood and.
Well, there was a soup label with the blood dried around it on the floor. Went upstairs, looked into the master bedroom, just looked in from the doorway, the front room. I didn't look in I didn't look in either one of the bathrooms upstairs.
Any particular reason why you didn't do that?
No. Then went back downstairs and went into the basement. After that, I think Brett was calling 911 then, when I was coming back upstairs. The policeman came up and said, "Have you been inside?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Have both of you?" And we said, "Yes." And he said, "Stay out here," and they both drew their weapons, I guess to secure the place.
And they went inside?
They went inside.
Okay, and the officers, sir, how long were they in the house?
5-10 minutes, something like that. And Officer Barnett came out, and I'll never forget, Mr. Prier, sir, He said, your wife's dead.
Naturally, their first focus was Carl. He was the person closest to Leslie and the last one known to be with her, and a troubling detail immediately stood out. Before officers even arrived at the house, Carl had already searched through the house, yet somehow never checked the master bathroom. In their initial reports, first responders described this as suspicious behavior. But while detectives were building their early theory around Carl, another name crept into the investigation: Eugene Gligor. According to a tip from a neighbor, Eugene had dated Leslie's daughter in the past, and even back then, he had a reputation as a rowdy teen. Moreover, Eugene and his family lived close to Leslie's home, about 10 minutes away. Still, Carl remained the priority, and investigators brought him in for an interview to try and get a statement from him.
Oh, about the doggone answering machine at home. Just to clarify that. Have you erased that or any of the stuff that was on there for the past 2 weeks? Is it still there?
You guys, I don't mean to show any disrespect, but I've been cooperating with you since day one, and I think I've answered enough questions.
Just about the answering machine? I don't understand.
My attorney said not to answer any more questions. And again, I don't mean to show any disrespect to you guys at all.
Well, I can't tell you what to do, Sandy, okay? I can suggest some things, though. You gotta live with yourself.
I sure as heck have to.
And sometimes folks, even if they're attorneys, can't tell you how to live with yourself.
I can live with myself.
Can't tell you how to do the right thing. Can't tell you how to put closure to some things. And to allow other people maybe to get closure. Specifically Lauren. Like I said before, we all do things that we sometimes regret. Doesn't make you a bad person. Just means that sometimes you just lost it for that minute. And I'm not trying to sit here in judgment, neither is Mike. But there's some things that you gotta try to do to set things straight, especially for other folks. Because we all know what happened. And I think it'd be a travesty for Lauren for her to go through the rest of her doggone life trying to figure out just what the hell happened.
For the next several minutes, Carl walked detectives through his timeline until he began to feel he was being looked at as a suspect. Sensing the shift, he shut down the interview by asking for a lawyer. Even after that, suspicion around him spiked when he failed a polygraph, but it dropped almost immediately when investigators recovered evidence pointing away from him. Leslie's autopsy report, according to the examiners, an unknown male's DNA was present under Leslie's fingernails, which did not match Carl's DNA. The sample was entered into the national database, but no solid results came back. Whoever the killer was had gotten away, with no solid leads to chase and no witnesses to build from. The case slowly went cold, staying that way for the next 21 years until September 2022, when the case was reopened and Detective Tara Augustine began re-examining everything that had been missed the first time around. Digging through the old file, she found that same early tip about Eugene Gligor, the one that had never been properly followed up on. And by then, investigators had something they didn't have in 2001, modern forensic genetic genealogy, allowing them to make matches that would not have been possible 2 decades earlier. Over the next year, detectives worked through distant family tree matches in hopes of finding a match to the DNA under Leslie's nails. By late 2023, they had exactly that. They found a match to a family that traced back to Romania, one that had relatives in the United States. As luck would have it, this family had a very familiar surname, Gligor.
Detective Graston, this is Detective DuPoy.
Hi there.
From Montgomery County.
Okay.
I'm sure you're wondering what this is all
I
about.
would really like to know.
Yeah.
This has been really hard, whatever's
Sure.
happening.
Well, we're going to get through all of that with you. Do you recall back in 2001, Leslie Prier?
Yes, that she was murdered, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that's the case that we are investigating. You went to BCC with her daughter at the time?
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. And what was your relationship with Lauren, the daughter?
We had dated.
Okay. And when did you guys date? Do you remember years?
Exact dates, I'm not entirely sure.
Were you in high school or was it after high school?
Yeah, it was high school. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe like 1994 to 1997 or something around there.
Okay. And from your dates of birth, I can see you're a little bit younger than Lauren. So was she already graduated from high school, or were you guys both still in high school when you guys were dating?
We were both in high school. She had finished high school, and I believe we had dated for a few months while she was in college, but that was it.
Okay. So back then, when you guys were dating, where did you live?
I lived in with my mother in Rockville.
Okay. Do you remember the address or what street or anything?
I wish I did. I don't.
Okay. And you said you lived with your mother. Were your parents separated?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did your dad live?
He lived in Chevy Chase, and yeah.
Do you know the street or
Yep,
neighborhood or
Brookside Drive.
Brookside
Yeah.
Drive? Okay.
Yeah.
And so you and Lauren had dated well before her mother was killed. Do you remember, were you still in touch with Lauren when this stuff happened to her mom?
No, we had broken up a couple years before, at least. Maybe longer, I'm not sure. And I believe I reached out just to send my regards, and maybe saw her a couple times, and but that was it.
Okay.
When investigators looked closer at Eugene Gligor, his behavior around the time of the murder was impossible to ignore. Almost immediately after Leslie was killed, he took a sudden trip to Portland, Oregon, nearly 2,800 miles away from where he was living. He stayed there throughout Leslie's funeral, which was strange, considering this was the mother of someone he had once been close to.
I remember asking Lauren specifically, I was like, where is Eugene? And her saying to me that it was too much for him to handle. That's the excuse. That's the most selfish thing I've ever heard. Why the hell is Eugene not here?
The only acknowledgement he offered was a brief text message expressing his condolences.
Do you remember how you found out about it?
I remember I was at work, and I believe she had actually told me that she had come into where I was working at a restaurant, and she had told me that what had happened.
What restaurant was that? Do you remember?
It was a restaurant called Black's.
Okay.
In Bethesda.
Okay. Let me see. So you guys were just kind of cordial at the time, but you weren't really close. It's not like you guys kept touch that much.
Correct.
Okay. When you guys were dating, how close were you with the family? Like, did you spend a lot of time at their house, or did you know them real well?
I knew the family. I, definitely spent time. She spent time at my house. I've spent time at her house. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So how were you close with her parents?
I mean, I wouldn't say close with them. I don't know how much, I don't know if close would be the right word.
There was no forced entry at the house on 2nd May, which means someone close was there, and Leslie let that person in until it was too late.
So from the crime scene, we have DNA from the person who was there when Leslie died. So there's Leslie's blood all over the place, obviously, but then there's also another DNA profile that was picked up from the crime scene. And we had put that into CODIS, our database from the National CODIS DNA Index System, and it has never hit. So whoever was there, whoever's DNA was also on the scene, has never been arrested. And that's why we were going through doing all these elimination DNA samples to find out, okay, well, this person couldn't have done it because we matched their DNA to it. So we realized that they never talked to you, never did anything, and we wanted to find out more about you. And if there was any kind of situation where you could have been at the house at that time.
I'm a little confused. So to find out more and talk to me, why not just call me and ask me to come in and talk to me versus have marshals come and arrest me and bring me in? I'm just confused as to why that's the case.
Well, because we needed to talk to you in a controlled environment, and because there's a little bit more to it than what we've told you so far.
Could you tell me?
Well, we're getting there. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to be a little bit forthcoming before we...
I mean, I feel a little bit trapped here, like...
Well, you're under arrest, so you should feel trapped.
Right, and so I think, I mean, probably asking for a lawyer is my best course of action at this point.
Okay.
Instead of doing any more discussing or talking about it, it just doesn't seem... I don't understand, so I'd like to have somebody...
Well, that's why we're trying to talk to you about it.
I know.
But we can't...
And there's 2 of you and 1 of me, so
Sure.
I feel a little outnumbered, and I probably would need some type of representation if I am under arrest, as you said, which I am.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think that having a lawyer would be the best for me in my interest at this point.
That's totally fine. And we don't have to ask you any more questions, but we are going to just tell you some stuff. Okay? So from the crime scene, the DNA that was taken, we actually have a sample of your DNA, and it was compared to the crime scene DNA, and it matched. So we know that you were there at the time when Leslie died.
But I never gave a sample of DNA.
That's correct. We obtained a sample from a discarded water bottle that you drank out of. So you were followed, and we collected it after you discarded it into the trash, and it was swabbed and it was compared. So your DNA matches the crime scene DNA.
I don't know what to say. I have no recollection. I have no memory. I don't know what to say.
Okay, well, that's why we wanted to talk to you, to find out if there's any other explanation.
That day, Eugene Gligor had flown back home to Dulles International Airport. As Gligor stepped off the plane, an airport agent pulled him aside for a routine check. He was then escorted to a small room. Several bottles of water had been carefully placed on the table in front of him. The plan was simple. They needed Gligor to drink from one of the bottles. Once he did, the bottle would contain his DNA. Eugene took the bait. He drank from one of the bottles, throwing it into the trash as he left the room. The detectives immediately swooped in, collecting their evidence, with Eugene having no idea that he'd just fallen right into their trap.
But we can't ask you any more questions if you want a lawyer present.
Yeah, I think I should have a lawyer present. I don't know what to do or say. It doesn't make sense to me, so... I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Do you have a lawyer that you...
No.
Okay.
I don't have to call. I don't know. I probably call my girlfriend and ask her to help find somebody. I don't know.
We wanted to try to see if there was another angle or another side to this story, and
mean,
You know, we know
why would
that
my DNA be there?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
So, I don't know. I don't know, you know? I mean, I was in the house, but it was years before, you know, when I dated her.
Correct.
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I don't understand. This is all very bewildering, very strange. Is there more that you're gonna tell me? Is there more?
I mean, we've told you plenty. We can't continue to ask you questions.
If you want to keep talking, we can. But if you want to stop, you have to let us know for sure.
Yeah.
We can tell you more about, you know, what we think happened.
I don't, I mean, what you think happened, I don't know. I can't verify. I don't know. I don't recall. I don't have any memory. I didn't do anything that you're talking about, so I don't know. And I don't feel like I can, I don't know how to answer and go into, I don't want to incriminate myself with questions. You guys are professionals. I'm not. I don't know. I really do think I need an attorney. I need to use the phone and I need to call someone and I need legal representation before I respond to anything else.
Okay, that's fine. We're not going to ask you any more questions. There's no tears coming out of your face.
I'm very dry right now.
You're dry?
I'm very dry. I'm parched. I'm dehydrated. You can probably see my eyes are bloodshot red because I'm just tired and drained. I don't know what's going on. You want me to drink water so I can tear? Like,
no,
what the
I
fuck
don't want
is
you
wrong
to tear.
with you?
I don't want you to tear. I just don't want
What are you trying to say?
I'm just trying to say that this seems a little put on.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God, you're so full of it.
A judge ruled parts of Eugene Gligor's interview inadmissible because detectives kept questioning him after he asked for a lawyer, so those portions couldn't be used in court. But even with that setback, the DNA was still a wall he couldn't get around. A water bottle he discarded at an airport linked Gligor directly to the crime scene, matching the male DNA found under Leslie's fingernails and elsewhere in the house. In May 25th, Gligor pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 22 years in prison. Prosecutors ultimately concluded that Eugene, fueled by heavy drinking, met up with Leslie that night, and whatever happened between them escalated into her death. The most bitter part is that Leslie's husband, Carl, passed away in 2017, still living under a cloud of suspicion. Despite being cleared early on, he never got to see the real killer identified and held accountable. Thank you for watching today's video.